And back to Vancouver now, and Pollster Hamish Marshall of Abingdon Research is standing by. And Hamish, it's always good to see you. And tonight we got a few things teed up about some of the ridings where independents are running. And before we get into the ridings, we saw just at the end of the legislature there when a budget had to be passed and some BC Liberals weren't voting, there was condescension. The independents, there's I think only 4 of them right now, could play a significant role in the next legislature.
Absolutely, and this is really new for British Columbia. In the last election, Vicky Huntington was elected as an independent. She's the first independent to be elected in 60 years in BC. It's not something we've got a long tradition of here, so it's very interesting. If the polls are right, and if it's as close as 4%, we could be looking at a very tightly balanced legislature, and a group of 3 or 4 independents could make a big difference.
And one of them, we had Bob Simpson. He's running up in Caribou North. He's a former New Democrat, now seeking re-election as an independent. He's got some great ideas about Democratic reform, and who knows, that might be the price for his support for a government that is looking for it. Let's get into some of the ridings. I think we want to start in Abbotsford South this time around, and this is where Mr. Van Dongen is running.
Absolutely. John Van Dongen is a former cabinet minister. He was cabinet minister in the Campbell government. Was pretty well respected. He left the BC Liberals over the Bassey-Verk BC Rail scandal and ended up joining the BC Conservatives for a time, and then started sitting as an independent last September. Is running as an independent again. The Conservatives and the Greens are not running a candidate against him. He's a guy who's represented that part of Abbotsford for almost 20 years. He was first elected in a by-election in I think about 95 or 96. So he's very well established. The Liberal candidate against him has had a few bumps. He said a few controversial things. I think that Mr. Van Dongen certainly got a chance here, and it's going to be definitely one of the seats to watch on Election Day. And this is a real thorn in the side to Christy Clark, because he's been talking about the BC Rail scandal and the Bassey-Verk payout for months. And the documents that were released or leaked a few days ago seem to vindicate a lot of things he was saying, which can only help him in Abbotsford.
And it seems to me, just to sort of broaden this a little bit, is that right now, this particular BC election, some are saying the voter turnout may not be that big because many voters they don't like Christy Clark, they're not excited about her, and they're maybe not excited about the NDP. But then you put a riding where in Abbotsford South, where you got Mike de Jong running and John Van Dongen running, where a voter could say, here's someone I can register my protest with. Still a conservative-minded candidate. I can vote for him and feel great about it. That would seem to me to be playing well into his favor.
Absolutely, and especially he plays very well in that community. A lot of farmers of Dutch descent. He's Dutch descent himself. He's got deep roots there. Very well connected. We expect him to do very well on election night. We'll see if it's enough to beat the Liberal, but it could end up perhaps even in a split and having the NDP come up the middle, and the NDP representing Abbotsford South would be one for the ages.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's go to the other Abbotsford West. There's another Dutchman, I'm assuming. That is the finance minister I just mentioned a minute ago, Mike de Jong. You think he might be at risk here?
Absolutely. The interesting thing is there's a very funny dynamic happening in Abbotsford West. It's about a third Indo-Canadian, and Moe Gil is running as an independent. Mr. Gil has been a Abbotsford City Councillor since 1996. He's very well established in the community, and he was supposed to be Mike de Jong's pick to run in Abbotsford South. He was going to run there. He helped Mr. de Jong in his leadership. He, in fact, was one of the people who helped deliver votes from de Jong to Christy Clark and helped her become premier in the leadership 2 years ago. And what happened is that the party decided to appoint Darryl Plecas in Abbotsford South, and de Jong suddenly wasn't given Moe Gil suddenly didn't have a seat. So in protest against the Liberal leadership denying him democracy to be able to run for a nomination in Abbotsford South, he's running against his former ally Mike de Jong in Abbotsford West, and he certainly has deep roots into the Indo-Canadian community. He's been one of Mike de Jong's principal organizers in that community for a long time, and he certainly is going to drag a chunk of that vote away. Throw in a BC Conservative candidate, Paul Redekop, in one of the more conservative areas in the province, and I think Mr. de Jong's in for a long night.
Wow, that's going to be fascinating to watch. And just quickly then, let's just take a quick peek then up the Fraser Valley and Surrey.
Well, in Surrey we've got a real sort of swing area. There's 2 or 3 seats in the middle of Surrey that traditionally are swing areas. The Liberals are trying hard to take back a seat. They're running the Mayor of Langley, Peter Fassbender, in Surrey Fleetwood. This is a seat the NDP won last time with an incumbent MLA, but they're expecting, the Liberals are putting on a really hard push here. We'll see if they can pull it off. I think they have to be leading the NDP, not even behind them by 4 points to be able to win a seat like that. Other seats that are in play are places like Surrey Tynehead. The Liberal MLA Dave Hare retired. Mr. Hare is very well respected, good roots in that community. With him gone, I think that certainly hurts the Liberals there. That's on the NDP's target list.
It's going to be a fascinating next Tuesday, no matter what the polls say. All right, Hamish Marshall, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.